Wander Wealthy Podcast, episode 88. What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of the Wander Wealthy Podcast. I'm Tess Wicks, the host. If you're new, hello, welcome, and Happy New Year. Can you believe it? We made it to 2019. My dad told me the other day that he found a box of stovetop in our cupboard from 2002, and this is probably going to humiliate my mother, but I don't think she listens, so we'll see. I'll find out. But he found it, and so it was from 2002, and I was like, oh yeah, 2002. That's not too far away. My dad was like, it was 17 years old. That's a 17-year-old box of stovetop. I was like, oh my gosh, 17 years. That is a long time. So anyway, welcome to 2019. Real quick before we get started, I just want to say, if you're looking for an opportunity to really kickstart 2019 and you're looking to maybe bring more wealth into your life, then I invite you to sign up for the Wealthy Life Challenge. It's a 4-week challenge where we cover 4 different areas of our lives, and I provide you with a daily email from Monday to Friday during those 4 weeks where I give you an exercise or a task, something to get you out of your comfort zone, or just a journaling prompt for you to do within that specific area. So the 4 areas we're covering are mindset, space, relationships, and money. And we're going to wealthy up each of those areas. And if you stay tuned to the end of this episode, you'll hear much more about the Wealthy Life Challenge. But if you want to get inside already, because we're starting January 7th, which is next Monday. If you want to get inside, go to wanderwealthy.com/WLC. I'll also link it in the show notes and the description. But go there, sign up. You'll receive an email confirmation from me. Make sure you check your spam folder if you don't get it. And just hit the confirm button. But there's also some information there about the challenge as well. And then you will get a first email actually on Sunday in preparation for the challenge. And then Monday, we're getting started. So I can't wait. If you want to join us, please do. It is open for anyone and everyone. Today, I am doing a solo show where I just want to share some ideas with you. The other day, I guess on New Year's Eve, my boyfriend and I had carved out a couple hours, weeks in advance. And we were like, why are we waiting until New Year's Eve to do this? But then we just decided we have the time set aside, we should do it on New Year's Eve. And we carved out some hours to set our core values. Not because you really need to set your core values. You should know what your core values are pretty much at all times. They're really already within you. So it's not like you have to set goals and decide what do you want to achieve today. But a lot of people don't actually know what their core values are. So I guess we didn't set our core values. We understood, we uncovered what our core values were. And we did it for our relationship as well as for us as individuals. And determining the core values that are important to us for our relationship. So every decision we make, we know it's the right decision if it's based and rooted in that core value. And if it's not, then why would we do that? And then also the same goes for our individual selves. Now, we all as humans, we have our own individual core values. You might have 1 core value. You might have 10 core values. You could have more. There's a lot of things you're going to, I guess, identify with, but you have to really figure out what is truly integral to you and really takes priority. And that's a hard thing to do, but once you figure it out, it will make your life so much easier. And this is the funny thing. A lot of us know about core values because you learn about them through school, you learn about them through your employer, you probably had a meeting where you set core values with your team members, but a lot of us do it in the wrong way, and we understand core values in the wrong way. But core values are pretty simple. If you think about it, a core value is a value that is core to you or core to the company. The problem is a lot of people set core values as aspirational goals or aspirational values they would like to have as opposed to what they really want and who they really are. And that's the interesting thing. It's hard. It's really hard to kind of accept the fact that you're not actually a person who has a core value of goodness. That's definitely not one of my core values. I would think that I have good naturally flowing through my bones, but it's not something that I really identify with more than the core values I already have. So it's hard, but it's important to identify what is truly a value for you and what's aspirational. So doing this, and again, why are core values important? Why is it important to set? Because once you identify what is truly a value for you, you can start acting and knowing that you're acting in alignment with who you are and where you want to go. Now, this can get tricky too, because let's say you're not a healthy person right now. You ate too many Christmas cookies, you're overweight, you're not the most healthy. You went to the doctor and they're saying, you got to lose weight, you got to work out, you got to eat healthier, and you're just not right now. And you would like to have health as a core value. And a lot of us do this. We say, health is my core value. And it's really important to me, but I choose to stay at home and eat Christmas cookies instead of go to the gym, or instead of choose to eat carrots. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean we're bad people. It just means that health is not actually a core value. You would like to get there, but it's not your core value. So determine what your core values are. Maybe your core value is relaxation. I don't even know if that's like a value, but let's just say it is. Or happiness and fun. Or, one of mine is autonomy. So you like to have control over your time. Now, that is something that you can go, okay, how can I use that to make better decisions that can get me to a healthier state? And then eventually maybe health could become a core value, but core values, they do change, but they change slightly and they change slowly because you're literally changing who you are if you're changing your core values. So they can alter, or they can go up in priority and down in priority. Like maybe right now, fun and happiness are your top core value, but like 5 years from now, when you have a spouse and maybe some children, or your parents are getting older, you're going to decide that family is higher priority than happiness and fun. I mean, core values will change, but still you're going to be the same person. So again, it can be hard because you want to be aspirational when you set core values, but that's not what core values are for. Core values help you determine even more so who you are and what you truly value, and that can really help you make better decisions going forward. Is this in service of the core value, the person that I really am? Is this going to be aligned with who I am? And you'll know that saying yes or no then will determine whether it's going to be a good decision for you or not. Because if we say yes to things that don't really align with our core values, like if health is my top core value, but I keep saying yes to going out with girlfriends on a Friday night and drinking way too much, then I'm operating out of alignment with who I really am. Or health actually isn't a core value, and friendship is more of a core value, and happiness and fun. So determining that's what we got to do, because that can help us set goals. It can help us make sure we're on the right path towards those big, hairy, audacious goals that we might have. And it just is kind of like a little self-test to make sure that we're doing what is honorable to us. Okay, so I want to share a couple of examples of bad core values so that you can get an idea of what not to do. And then I'm going to share my core values that I've recently went through and set. I don't know if I've ever set my core values, at least dedicated this much time to really jotting down my core values, but it is something that is really important. And especially if you're trying to get like your finances in order, determining what is valuable to you. And if you end up spending and you have a hard time saying no to things, determining what is valuable to you as far as like your core values can really help you determine whether you say yes or no to spending things. And that can be a good way to go, oh, no, I'm not going to buy that because that has nothing to do with anything that is truly integral to the person that I am and where I want to get to. So as an example, a lot of companies will sit down and write core values, and we don't feel anything when we read those core values on the wall or in our employee handbook or maybe on the website, because the company actually those aren't core values that are integral to the company. They're aspirational and they would like everyone to be like that, but they're not. So that's where we fall short a lot of times in setting core values, is because a lot of us are exposed to it through like company, team member core value setting or memorizing. and it completely erases the meaning of what a core value truly is. So as an example, you might be working for a company and one of the core values might be ethical, but the work that you do doesn't feel ethical to you. And you know that the work isn't truly ethical because you're always trying to, get your client a better deal, which then ends up screwing over maybe their employees. That's kind of an example from one job that I used to have in the past. Or there's just something a little fishy going on and you know about it. Maybe the customers don't know about it, but you know about it. So obviously you're not going to resonate with that core value. Or maybe another core value of the company would be teamwork, but you're in a very individualized sales role. So you do not feel like working in a team is really a value of the company. And there might be areas of the company that do work in a team, but the company needs to do a better job of determining what their values are as a whole so that every individual employee can align with those values and really work and lead through those values of the company. So those are a couple examples of company core values that really throw us off base. But when you're sitting down to set your core values, it can be really difficult because, like I said, you want to be aspirational, but you can't be aspirational in your core values. If you're not a healthy person, health cannot be a core value of yours until you get to that point. And like I said, you can change. Your values can change, but you have to figure out what you're going to utilize of your current values and how you're going to take action in respect and honor to those values to get to that ultimate place. So another example for me is I would love to have the core value of consistency. It would be so cool to be able to consider myself a super consistent person. And it's a great core value. I mean, it's aspirational. You want to be consistent. You want to make sure you're showing up on time all the time, doing as you said you would do, and that's important. And yes, I will say I'm consistent in certain ways. I'm consistent with friendship, I'm consistent with family, but I'm pretty inconsistent when it comes to other aspects of my life, like hitting the gym or uploading blog posts or uploading YouTube videos on the same day every single week. I went from 2 videos to 1. I had stopped this podcast and then I started again. And I'm always striving for consistency, but me as a human being, deep in my soul, I am not naturally a consistent person. I'm just not. And I would love it, but I can't write that as a core value if that's not who I am. Now, I really think you can learn skills of being consistent, and then it could eventually become you naturally because through practice, you just start to create this muscle memory. But right now, I am not consistent. I'm just not. It's just not natural to me. And even if I went, consistency, that relates to me, it's not high enough on my value list to replace one of my top core values. So here's a quick exercise. Before I share with you what my real core values are, I want you to do this exercise of sitting down and pulling up a list of 50 core values, or you can just Google examples of core values and you'll find a bunch of lists and it'll just be words like integrity, stewardship, strength, intelligence, leadership, excellence, blah, 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 blah. And I want you to look at the list and maybe copy and paste into a Word doc or literally just write down the ones that resonate with you. And maybe 20 of the 50 will resonate with you, or maybe all of them, but then you really need to start paring down, okay, does this one outbeat this one? Does this one outbeat this one? To figure out what your top priority core values are, and then which ones fall to the wayside as you go. Okay? Oh, another one that I would love to do, and I just think this is good to share because we really need to make sure that we're not setting core values that are aspirational, even though we really feel like, that would be great if I was that. It's just like when you take one of those personality tests and you have a hard time because you're like, well, I know I should be this, but I'm not. And is that going to am I going to get a result that I am a terrible person? So it's okay. I mean, you're not a terrible person. You just have values that are higher priority than these ones. So another one for me would be spirituality. I would like to think that I'm a really spiritual person. I love to meditate and sometimes I pray. I used to go to church a lot, not so much anymore because I can't understand a word they say in Italy. But there's a lot of things that, if I was truly a spiritual person, like deep in my soul, as a top priority core value, I would figure out a way to practice spirituality every single day. But I don't, because there's other things that take precedence. Now, I like the practice of being spiritual, but it's not a core value of mine. And it's hard because it would be nice to be this like spiritual, well-grounded, very centered person who can quiet their thoughts and, give great advice, but that's just not who I am. Maybe I'm more spiritual than other people, but when it comes to me and I'm thinking about my values, which is what you have to do for yourself, that's not a value of mine. It's not a core value of mine. It's a value, but it's not my value, my core value. Okay, so here's an example, which they're my top 5, and hopefully they will also help you understand and determine what your core values are. And by the way, you can't set core values. You just have to uncover what they are. And that can be really hard too, but you just have to ask yourself, is this the top priority? Would I prioritize this over everything else? So the top number 1 core value for me is family. And I feel like this could only probably get stronger for me. But for me, I will honestly do anything for my family. I will probably lie for my family. By the way, honesty is a top core value of mine, but family is even more because they are just so important to me. Now, lying, of course, there's a sliding scale with that, but you know what I'm talking about. My family is so important. I am getting so sick of traveling 14 plus hours on an airplane, but now that I'm in Italy, I'm still making it a priority to make sure that I go home and I see my family. And also with family, I'm looping in friendship and relationships. And especially with my partnership, there's a lot of things I will set aside to make sure that we are getting to where we want to go, or we are spending time together, or we are able to do certain things. And then the same goes for friendships. There's a lot of things that I will do. I will go out of my way for in order to spend time with friends, or call a friend, or do something with a friend. I will pay money to fly a friend somewhere just so we can do something, because it is such a core value of mine to spend time with loved ones, which I just kind of all group in to family. So family has been a top core value of mine. It's, definitely gone down in the past and things have overtaken it. And now it's kind of back up there, especially distance makes the heart grow fonder. And like I said, you probably might not have family right now, and you could have family when maybe you don't have a great supportive family right now, but then when you develop your own family, obviously that would change. Or maybe not, it doesn't matter. You got to just stick to who you are. For me, number 1 is family. Number 2, and this is one that I have just recently changed, because I tried to ask myself this question of would I do this over anything else? And the answer is yes, even though I thought it was a different order. But number 2 for me is honesty. Honesty is something that, it's not sexy. I mean, honesty is great, but it's not sexy. It's not oh, my core value is leadership. No, it's honesty. I cannot lie. I have such a hard time. I feel so icky if I even have to lie. And usually my facial expression, you can just read it if I don't like something. And I have such a hard time being yay, yum, good, I'm so excited, if I really am not. It's just something I'm not good at doing. And this is something, it's really pretty naturally rooted in who you are as a human being, which is exactly why it's such a high core value for me. It's one that really helps drive my relationships. So family and relationships, partnerships, friendships being number 1, honesty serves that core value, because it's very, very hard for me to lie within my relationships, especially, but also just to strangers on the street. So honesty is number 2 for me. I would not lie for anything below it, but that is why I said I'd probably lie for my family because I love them so much. But if it was anything else, it is really, really, really challenging for me to not be honest. And then number 3 for me is autonomy. Autonomy it basically means self-government, self-governance, like having control over your own time. And autonomy is something I didn't realize was a core value for me for a long time, but now that I think about it, it has driven so many of my decisions. So just like, honesty, it's pretty easy because if you are generally an honest person, you're obviously just going to choose not to lie. And family, if that's a top priority, and like I said, I don't know if I mentioned this, but core values are really these things that drive your decision making. That's why they're so important. So family, it's super easy to make decisions if family is involved because then I'm much more likely to say yes. Autonomy is another one. It is something that has driven some of my biggest decisions I've ever made. The decision to quit my job and quit my 9-to-5 and start my own business was really driven by my core value and my deep need and alignment with autonomy, needing the ability and having that self-governance to control my own time and determine when I start working and stop working, when I go on vacation and when I don't. And it even is the reason why I'm not necessarily naturally a consistent person and why consistency can't be a top core value of mine, because autonomy is much more important, and autonomy allows me to determine, if I don't want to post today, I'm not going to post. Now, obviously, you can be consistent and autonomous. You can have both of those core values, and then you would just obviously decide that your autonomy was important, but you still did what you said you were going to do with the consistency part. So it just depends, but for me, autonomy is really high, consistency isn't as high. So autonomy has definitely helped drive a lot of my decisions, from quitting my job, from moving to Italy, from, just doing a lot of things. And it's really important for me to have autonomy. And that serves, again, my highest core value, which is family, because I have the autonomy to be able to take time off and go visit my family as much as I want. I also have the autonomy to be able to move to Italy to dedicate, a big change in my life to my relationship, which also, again, I loop in with family. So it shows you that family is way more important. Honesty is just really naturally bred in there. And then autonomy is super important, a great third core value for me. It is one big one that drives my business, the reason I'm in the career I am in, the reason I live in a foreign country now, and everything else that you could probably think of. So the fourth core value for me is growth. And the reason is because I am just always pursuing growth and getting to that next step. Now, this is super core for me. I love learning, growing, and developing. I just crave that kind of stuff, but it can also be quite a weakness. So I've really determined this, and this is one of the core values. When my boyfriend and I sat down to kind of do this core value uncovering, if you will, for both of our relationships, but then us as individuals, we did one core value that we really wanted to focus on for 2019, and mine is growth. But it's growth with a subtext of taking action, because I'm the type of person that will expose myself to so many learning opportunities, and so many times I'll kind of go down a path, but I have a hard time getting all the knowledge and growing maybe my knowledge and my memory and my brain, but then not actually putting it into action. So if you can imagine, I'm getting all this knowledge, I'm learning so much, but then I'm not implementing it so that I can, establish that I've grown to that point so that I can grow even beyond that, if that makes sense. It's like going to school and learning all the information, but then not taking the test so that you can get to the next level. So I really need to make sure that I'm taking action in that path, in that value of growth. When I'm pursuing growth, I also need to pair it with action so that my growth can be more sustainable, but also more direct and specific for the goals that I'm trying to achieve. Because core values aren't goals. They are who you are. And then they can help you. You can utilize your core values, the natural way you are as a human, to make decisions in order to pursue certain goals. So like I said, if you want to be healthy, figure out your core values and how can you use those to make decisions to become a healthier person. So eventually health maybe can be your core value. So mine is growth. I'm always pursuing that next thing, trying to get more information, trying to get to the next level, but I need to make sure I pair that with action. So that's something that I'm really making front and center on my every day to day. And the other thing my boyfriend and I did was we set kind of phrases to ask ourselves to make sure that we are staying true to our core values, but also moving forward. And one of my phrases is one that really kind of hammers in on that. Okay, you have learned about this, you thought about this, what are you going to do about it now? So I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But let's move on to my fifth and final core value, which is one that was really hard to say this is my fifth. And maybe it even isn't my fifth and there's one that's above it, but I just haven't done the work to find it yet. So I put it as 5, and it is health. Now, again, I consider myself someone who's really dedicated to health and fitness. I love to work out. I go to the gym very often. I love eating healthy foods. However, I had to realize that it is not my top core value. It's not even top 3, even though I would say, like, if you ask me, tell me about yourself. What are things that are really important to you? What are your hobbies? I would be like, health and fitness, health and fitness, health and fitness, even though it's not. I mean, it's important, but it's not the top, because I will forego eating something healthy and going and working out in order to go home and spend time with my family. I will forego going to the gym or eating healthy so that I can spend more time working on a project that's going to bring me more autonomy. I will forego health and fitness, eating something healthy, going to the gym, so that I can pursue opportunities for growth. You know, it's one of the things that is really integral to my day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month life, but I will always make exceptions for my top core values, which are family, autonomy, honesty, and growth. So health does fall down the ladder, but it's still something that is very integral to me. So I keep it as one of my top core values because it does, in certain circumstances, drive my decision. If family or autonomy or growth aren't on the edge, of like, okay, health or this, then I'm going to choose the health route. I'm going to choose to eat healthier or to go to the gym over maybe, going out with friends, because fun is also a core value of mine, but it's not above health. I would much rather wake up at 9 a.m. in the morning on Saturday than say yes to a really fun sounding opportunity, but it's going to keep me up until, 2 in the morning on Friday night, or I guess Saturday morning. So health is my fifth core value. So those are examples of my top 5. And I just think when you set your core values, you can then use them to determine which decisions and which paths to go down in pursuit of your goals. And you know that if you're making decisions based off your core values, that decision is going to be much easier to play out, especially if you really have to push yourself to take action. And it's probably going to serve you better as a person, especially if it's like a spending decision. It's much easier to say no to it. Like for me, I can say no to spending money going out on a Saturday night with friends and spending money on drinks and maybe cover charges or even like outfits and makeup to go out at night, because that's just not a core value and that's not core to who I am. I'd much rather wake up and go work out and spend money on maybe a smoothie bowl or even brunch with friends after I work out. But I want to get in what is important to me first. Okay, the other things I wanted to talk about today were just the phrases that I have set for myself for 2019. I know a lot of people set their goals and they have their words and they have their phrases. And by the way, if you're sitting here and you're going, shit, I missed it. Well, I guess I'm screwed. I'm not going to do it anymore. Don't worry about that. It doesn't matter. You should definitely set your core values no matter what time of year it is, just because it's so important to really uncover what those are, to figure out what are my core values? It would be nice to know, right? It can make your life much easier and the decisions you make much easier. And also phrases or words or goals. There's no perfect time to set goals. Yes, it's really nice to be able to do it the day before New Year's like I did with my boyfriend, but you don't have to do that. I haven't even really finished setting my goals for 2019. I have a really good vision of what they are, and I know exactly how I'm going to act on at least the paths that I'm currently going down, but I haven't gotten very specific with my goals quite yet, just because I haven't had the time. And I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do it, but I just want you to know that it doesn't have to be the perfect time. Just do it today, just do it today. So I wanted to share my 2 phrases because I think that, they could be helpful for maybe you. And if you want to adopt it, go right ahead. The first phrase that I'm using for 2019 is one that is much more a mindset shifting phrase. It's something I've recognized about myself that I really want to work on and really open my mindset for abundance in this specific area. And so my phrase is, I think I borrowed it from Jess Lively from The Lively Show, because I've seen that she's created she posts this a lot on her Instagram, and I think she created maybe shirts or necklaces that says this on it, but I just love it. And I think it is really, really helpful if you are stuck in a little bit of a scarcity mindset, or maybe you have trouble practicing gratitude. And so this phrase is, thank you, more please. Or better said, thank you, more please. I have recognized about myself that I have a lot of trouble receiving. And whether that's receiving money or receiving someone's time or receiving the opportunities that are presented, I might take them, but I have a hard time mentally receiving them and knowing that I am deserving of them, that I deserve to have them, that I deserve to have the money, that I deserve to have someone else's time, that I deserve these gifts, that I deserve the ability to live in a foreign country and work from the internet and have that sort of freedom and flexibility. So my phrase is to decide that I deserve it and decide that I am grateful for it, instead of having this mindset of, I don't deserve it, I shouldn't be able to get this, because that is so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy to believe that. And we all have, or a lot of us have, a really hard time with this. When you think about money especially, you either think, I don't deserve this, or it's impossible, or I can't have it, or there's not enough. And instead, if you use this phrase, if you struggle with any of those thoughts, like it's not enough, or I can't make enough, or whatever, especially when it's enough, but also deserving and receiving, saying thank you, more please, it does a little shift in your mind. It helps you think, thanks, thank you for this, I'm grateful for this, I feel so blessed to be able to have this, and well-deserved on my part, more please, I'll take more. Do you have more? I'll take more. And I really want to get away from feeling like, am I being selfish, or am I asking too much? Because gosh, we got to stop doing that to ourselves, especially women. So whether you want to negotiate a higher salary this year, or make more money in your business, or you want more opportunities to travel this year, or you want more friendships and more of your friends or your loved ones' time, and then you get that, or you get a little sliver of that, and you go, oh my gosh, I've wanted this for so long. I don't deserve this. What makes me deserve this? And if you resonate with this, because some of you may not, but if you do, I just want you to say, thank you, more please. And open yourself up to know that you do deserve it, you are grateful of it, and you are open for receiving more. All right? So that's my one. And thanks to Jess Lively for bringing this phrase into existence. I mean, obviously, people have been saying this forever, but I love to use it in a mindset way. It just resonates with me so purely. And I really need to practice being grateful, but also being open to more and knowing that, there's more than enough. So just allow yourself to receive even more. Don't feel like, I've gotten my share. No, there's more than enough. My next thing is really going to help me with the growth and action, core value of growth, and then the need to make sure I'm taking action. And my phrase is just a reminder for myself to make sure that I'm taking action on what's happening and what I'm pursuing. So my phrase is flow into action. And it is also kind of, I've dabbled between flow into action or inspired action, because I'm often hit with these ideas. And of course, not every idea is worth acting on, but I have the problem of not acting on so many ideas. Like, I get a bunch of ideas and then I'm just like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that someday. And I gotta stop doing that. So I'm choosing to really kind of reroute my schedule so that I do reserve time to act on the things that flow in, the ideas or the sources of inspiration that flow in, and I start drawing them all out and then I never act on it. And a prime example of this is the Wealthy Life Challenge. So if you're not signed up for the Wealthy Life Challenge, I definitely recommend that you do, because it is a 4-week challenge where we cover 4 different areas of your life and bring wealth to these areas to make your whole life holistically more wealthy. I'm saying we're wealthying up, or we're going to wealthy up these different areas. And the Wealthy Life Challenge is something I've been thinking about for at least a year. And I've been wanting to do it for so long. And I'm just like, oh, now's not the right time, or people aren't going to want to do it, or it's going to be too much work. And I make up these excuses and they're stupid. And I just need to act on them. Act on these ideas, because I've known this is a great idea. This is something people are going to want, but I just haven't acted on it. And so now I'm just deciding I'm going to do it for myself and I'm going to act. So I'm flowing into action. And I was really inspired recently to do the Wealthy Life Challenge. And I could have, as easily as I've done in the past, go, well, it's not the right time, or we're not ready for it, or that's not what I really was intending on focusing on during this time. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to create space in my calendar to take action on this while I take action on the other things I need to focus on, because it is so important to me that I flow into action. I don't just pursue growth, but I take action on those growth opportunities. And this is a prime example. So real quick, if you want to get into the Wealthy Life Challenge, go to wanderwealthy.com/WLC. Like I said, it is a 4-week challenge. So each week you're going to get like a main overarching challenge, but then every day from Monday to Friday, I'm going to send you an email, and it's going to have an exercise, a task, maybe something to take you out of your comfort zone, but also maybe just like a journaling prompt, something to think about every single day. So 5 emails per topic. And the topics that I've really kind of honed in on that are really important to me, that I'd love to bring more wealth into my life, but also your lives, is first and foremost mindset, which is kind of what this whole podcast episode is about. But bringing more wealth into your mindset and realizing how your mindset is impacting your ability to have a wealthy mindset or have a wealthy life. The second week, we're going to talk about your space and how you can wealthy up your space and being happy with the things you already have and the environment or the community that you're in, and also just your physical space. The third week, we're going to talk about relationships, whether that's the relationship with your partner, your family, your friends, or even the relationship with yourself, and how to bring more wealth, light, and happiness and just richness into your relationships. And then the fourth week, of course, we're going to talk about money, because we can't talk about wealth without talking about money. And this is Wander Wealthy. We talk about money. So the fourth week, we're really going to be doing some exercises and challenges to just start you thinking about money in this new year, making sure you're taking the tasks and the lessons and implementing what you learn, and challenging you to take it to that next level of true wealth in your finances, but then also, of course, in your full life throughout the 4 weeks. So if you're interested, like I said, sign up. I'll put a link in the description as well as in the show notes of this episode. I'm so excited to kick it off. And by the way, we kick off January 7th. So that is pretty much what I wanted to share with you guys today. I just think core values are super important. We should all know what our core values are, but a lot of us don't, or a lot of us get them wrong. So do the core value setting exercise and then determine, if you want to take it that next step, what is your phrase or your phrases or what goals are you going to set based on these core values and what you really want and need out of this year or this life, however you want to do it. And just start, thinking. I hope that sharing mine inspires you to kind of come up with your own or get more specific with what you have and start thinking about what is really going to serve and honor who I am deep down inside. So that is what I have for you. If you want to get links or resources, you can head to the show notes at wanderwealthypodcast.com/podcast/episode 88. And don't forget to sign up for the Wealthy Life Challenge, wanderwealthy.com/WLC. We will also be talking about it and kind of sharing our experience in the Wealthy Wanderers community. So if you want to get in there and you're not yet, go to wanderwealthy.com/FB, but you'll have plenty of opportunities to get inside as we go through the challenge. Oh, I'm so excited to get started with this year. This is going to be a good one. I can feel it. So until I talk to you next week or I see you in the challenge, which will be up next Monday, oh my gosh, I hope you wander wealthy.